Pop culture today is full of vampires, werewolves, and demons, and we're part of it. The Twilight movies were filmed right here on Vancouver Island. Well, today we're jumping on the bandwagon by featuring the item most feared and despised by these evil forces, the humble garlic. Black garlic, to be specific. We conjure up a pork roulade with black garlic and butternut squash risotto. I'm Count Garret Schack, and that's what we're cooking on the coast. Welcome to Cookin' on the Coast. Today we offer up Vancouver Island pork in a pork roulade with black garlic and butternut squash risotto. I bet your mouth is watering already. So let's get started. First thing we want to focus on is our risotto. We've got a pan that's started to heat here. Just going to turn it up a little bit. And we're going to add a little bit of vegetable oil. You could use olive oil here in this case, but olive oil will add flavor. So we want just a neutral flavor with this vegetable oil here. We'll add some diced onions, sizzling away already, and then I have a bit of garlic here. Just going to give it a little smash and do a nice rough chop on it. Probably about the same size as our arborio rice that we're going to make our risotto with here. Now it's important to use arborio rice here. You don't want to use a long grain, you want a shorter grain rice. It tends to absorb the liquid a little bit quicker and has a really nice creamy texture to it. And you can see we're really sizzling away there, which is perfect. We'll add our garlic. Now this episode is about garlic. We're using fresh garlic and some black garlic here today. A wooden spoon, give it a nice stir. Now we're really developing flavors, so I'm going to add some salt at this point, just a little bit. Some fresh cracked pepper. You can see we're already starting to get some color in there. And it's at this stage that you want to add your rice. In we go. Depending on how many people you're going for, one portion, about half a cup of rice is lots for a main course meal. Now there's a lot of steps to making a risotto. This first one here that we've started is we're actually kind of toasting the rice, but at the same time, we're adding a coating of the oil around that rice so it doesn't stick together. Turn my heat down just a little bit and continue cooking. Now I can see it's a bit dry, so I wanted just a touch more vegetable oil. No, not too much. And again, we'll give this, just maybe, 30 seconds or so, really stirring it well. Starting to get it all coated, all flavors. Okay, a little white wine. Beautiful, look at that. You can smell that garlic and the onions cooking away. Just perfect. Well, you can see it absorbed that liquid rather quickly, which is exactly what we're looking for. And then we have some vegetable stock here. I'm going to give it a nice big ladle full of veg stock. And just a little bit more. We'll give it one little stir and then we'll leave that to cook. Now a rule of thumb here is something that someone once told me was when you're cooking a risotto, you want to sort of give it a bath. You don't want to drown it in a pool. You just want it in kind of like a bath. So a little bit out of the water, but not completely submerged. And that's exactly what we're looking for here. Okay. Now, the roulade of our episode. We have the pork right over here. I'm just going to do it on this cutting board. And we're going to cut just sort of about a half-inch slice. You can see we have a gorgeous piece of pork here. It's got some nice marbling. We got still a little bit of fat in there, which is key. We want some fat. Fat is flavor in this case. I'm going to grab a little cling film here. And I'm going to show you a technique on how to pound this nice and flat. Roulade refers to a thin piece of meat that's been stuffed and rolled. So we have our roulade. Give me my knife here. We have our cling film. And then we're going to put this thin piece of pork right in the middle of it and then fold it over. And now, out of my magic tinkle trunk down here, we have our meat tenderizer. We're going to use this to just pound it flat. Take out some aggression, maybe you had a bad day, this would be a good dish to bring out for dinner. So pound it out flat, there is a certain technique to this. If you just sort of whack at it, it's not gonna work really well. You wanna give it a bit of a pushing motion on the meat, okay? So you'll see what I'm doing here. And you'll notice I'm not using the teeth side of this mallet. I am actually using the flat side because I don't want to create indentations. I'm not necessarily going for tenderization here as much as I am just trying to flatten out the meat. Okay. There we are. Now, why the cling film? I'll tell you why, because you're not making a mess all over your kitchen. It's keeping sort of the meat juice and such from flying around. And it keeps your surfaces a bit cleaner. Okay, at that stage, unwrap it all here. That 2-inch piece or that 1/2-inch piece is now a nice thin piece of pork. We're going to grab a spoon and put just a touch of grainy mustard in there. Now we have to remember about our risotto. It's a labor of love. We're going to go back to our stove and give it a stir and add more liquid. We want to continue to do this. Keep the liquid coming. Now you could use cold liquid, but in this case I've warmed up my veg stock already. You can use chicken stock or beef stock. In this case I really want our other ingredients, which is the roasted butternut squash and the black garlic to be the stars here. So we're just using a simple veg stock. But again, we've given it a bath, stir it a few times, make sure those kernels are nicely separated, and then leave it alone. So continue to our pork. About enough. I'm going to give it a little bit of salt inside. Not too much, not too much. We're going to wrap this in prosciutto afterwards, so we'll have plenty of saltiness. Some black pepper, and then we have something called a mushroom duxelle. This is our mushroom duxelle right here. Basically, it just refers to finely chopped mushrooms that have been sweated down or sauteed down until most of the moisture has been removed. We've added some parsley, some garlic, and some shallots in there as well. This is enough for probably 2 or 3 portions, so. Now you use the duxelle in place of just sauteed mushrooms because what it does is when you roll it up, it makes a nice stuffing on the inside. Okay. Now we'll start the rolling up process here, pulling our plastic wrap away as we go. There we are. I'll just set this on the thing right there, get rid of that. And now back to our risotto just quickly. It's looking great. Really coming along. And now this is a perfect time to take a break. We'll be back later in the show to finish our pork roulade with black garlic and butternut squash risotto. But first, we'll be back with a special guest as we get out of the kitchen. With so many culinary adventures to choose from down here on Fisherman's Wharf, we decided to start with Puerto Vallarta Amigos, a Mexican floating food cart. How cool is that? And super unique to our West Coast. So Ramesh, some really authentic Mexican cuisine, the enchilada.
The enchiladas.
How do we get started?
Oh, okay. So first of all, we're gonna get our tortillas. Mexican food, where are the tortillas? Yeah, it's just not Mexican food. So
yeah, it's like the Irish and their potatoes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta have tortillas.
So yeah, we're gonna heat the tortillas, and we're gonna put a little bit of oil, just to soften them a little bit and get them.
I love the idea of using the squeeze bottle for the oil. That's really neat.
Yeah.
So of all the food carts, Ramesh, that we've been on during the shoot of this show, this is certainly the most unique and comes with some challenges, does it not?
Oh, definitely. Well, I mean, the first challenge probably being a float home is disease sickness.
That's right.
Yeah, you have to hold yourself.
Weathering the stormy weather, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what is it that you put on the enchilada here on the tortilla?
We're putting some chicken fajitas. So it's chicken with onions and green peppers and red peppers and some Mexican spices.
Wow, sounds great. Yeah. You can smell the corn tortillas as they cook. Hey, they're just amazing. They have such a unique flavor and smell to them.
Yeah. I mean, the tortillas for Mexico, like they've been around since the ages. Like I mean, like the Aztecs, they used to use them. They used to get the corn and grind the corn.
Grind it down,
and, make the flour and everything. So
cool.
Yeah.
So enchiladas are typically baked, right? Like there's different varieties that would be frozen, or they'd be fried, and so on and so forth. But in this case, they're all baked.
Yeah, and well, in this case, there's different type of enchiladas,
right.
and yeah, there is different things that you can probably add to
right.
them. We can probably put some cheese.
Very nice.
In there. We need to put some sauce.
Okay, yeah.
On here. So
tomatilla sauce, super unique to Mexican cuisine.
So yeah, the tomatillo sauce is very unique to the Mexican cuisine. It's very citric, it's very sour, so you have to be careful how you cook it and how you regulate the citriness of it. So
and what else do we have there? We have some.
So we have some Mexican rice. Yeah, we cook the rice with some tomatoes and some spices.
Nice.
Yeah,
and then of course refried beans.
Refried beans.
Yeah, you gotta have the refried beans. Amazing. So how would you finish this all off?
Yeah, we're gonna add a little bit of lettuce on top.
Nice. Add some crunchiness, a little freshness.
Yeah, and then we're gonna add a little bit of sour cream.
Wow, this is a healthy plate, huh? Look at that.
Yeah.
Nice portion size.
Yeah.
All that sauce.
Some pico de gallo, which is cilantro, tomatoes, onions, and some lime.
Can you say that again? Because in my language we call that salsa, but you call it what?
Pico de gallo.
Pico de gallo. I love that.
Pico de gallo. Yeah, yeah. I mean, salsas for us, we have like 50 different types of salsas.
So many different kinds, right? Yeah.
So yeah, this is called pico de gallo, and
very
just
nice.
on top we're gonna add some cheese.
A little more cheese to finish it all off.
Yes.
That looks amazing, Ramesh.
Perfect.
Is there a fork around? Can I dig into one of these?
Yeah, definitely. Let me bring you one.
Oh, sure. Thanks very much. Look at this plate. It looks fantastic. All the Mexican quintessentials here. We got rice, we got refried beans, that enchilada buried underneath all that sauce. This is as real as it gets. Looks delicious. And all on this float home. You gotta have sturdy legs to be on here. Let's look for some of that enchilada. It looks fantastic. And do you do different flavors of enchilada, or is it just the chicken?
Yes, no, we have 8 different type of fillings. We have chicken, beef, barbacoa, pork, which is cooked like with some Mexican spices and chilies. We have beans, potato with spinach. Yeah,
so
we have
good, so many varieties.
Yeah, yeah.
That tomatilla sauce is just incredible with this. And the chicken is beautiful, still nice and moist.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I gotta go in for another bite. Here we go.
Perfect.
Oh, wow. Ramesh, that's perfectly cooked. It's so nice.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for inviting me onto your float home here. I gotta get my sea legs back.
Yeah.
Once I get back down onto dry ground, we're heading back into the kitchen for more Cooking on the Coast. Oh, I gotta have some more. I'm not gonna let this go to waste.
No.
Some of this rice in here.
Yeah.
We're back in the kitchen to finish off our pork roulade with black garlic and butternut squash risotto. We already have our risotto started. We're going to give it another little bath here. This is all about the time and the texture. You want to spend the time in the kitchen making risotto. You don't sort of put it on, walk away, watch some Czech TV. You have to stay by the stove, okay? We've got a really good quality Paderno pan here that keeps the heat. So if we walk away from it, it'll overcook and get stuck to the bottom of the pan. We don't want that. We're getting really close with the risotto, so we'll give it another little bath and start with our pork here. I've preheated a pan. Just put a dab of oil in there. And our pork that we had rolled before, we'll just roll up again here nicely. We have a couple of thinly sliced pieces of prosciutto, another pork on pork. I mean, how can that be bad? Add a little saltiness as well, and you'll see this will crisp up nicely and hold the whole thing together. Touch that down into our pan. Let it sizzle away. It's important here not to use a super high heat. If it's too hot, it'll burn even before you get cooked all the way through. We want to make sure that duxelle, the chanterelle mushrooms that were in the middle, we want that to cook all the way through and get nice and warm. While this is cooking away, let's flavor that risotto. Like I mentioned before, risotto can be anything you want. You could use apple juice if you wanted, and that rice would pick up that flavor of the apples. In this case, butternut squash. A really cool vegetable that can be toasted, roasted, sauteed. You can turn it into soups or purees. It's really amazing stuff. And it's got great, great flavor and a really nice sweetness. So this is gonna go right into our pot here. Okay, we pre-roasted that. You roast it in the skin and then pull it all the way. It's really great. Give it a nice little stir. And then we want some black garlic. Now, black garlic is super cool. It's really popular in Asian cuisine, and it's making a heavy insurgence into our culinary community here on the island. So we just want to chop it up a little bit. Have you ever seen garlic look like this before? It's basically been fermented, so it adds this hint of sweetness, has almost a balsamic vinegar type flavor to it. Really, really cool stuff. So we'll put that in. We're leaving it in nice big chunks, and we don't want to be shy with it either. This is the real key to this dish. It's going to add a whack of flavor and also a wow factor as far as color goes. See those colors? The beautiful bright orange, wonderful color of that black garlic. Let's not forget about our roulade. We'll give it a little turn here. Let's have a look and see how it's doing. Nice. You can see the prosciutto is starting to crisp up already. I'm going to give it a little more heat here. So now, from when this risotto started, hopefully you can really already see the difference. You can see it's become creamy, so we're getting really close to finishing here. I'm gonna add another ladle of liquid, our veg stock. Give this one more turn. Now I'm gonna throw this in the oven really quick, about 350, and that'll allow it to finish cooking while we plate up our risotto. Now, turn our attention finally to the risotto. So the last bits here, really important portions. So the creaminess doesn't come from adding any kind of milk or cream to it. It actually comes right from that rice starch coming out. But we're gonna add a little bit of butter. Not too much, we're still gonna try and keep this a little bit healthier. You can really smell the sweetness of that squash, and the roasted garlic, or that fermented garlic rather, the black garlic, gives this really interesting, unique sort of sweet and savory flavor and smell to the whole dish. Okay, I'm gonna give our risotto a little taste, check for seasoning. Because we only seasoned at the beginning there, we wanna give it another little taste, make sure we're there. Oh wow, the rice is just about perfect. Definitely need some more salt. Okay, touch more veg stock. It definitely shouldn't be sticky. It should almost run a little bit when it goes onto the plate. It's a misconception. If you go to a restaurant and they have it stacked really high and it's holding really tight, that risotto is not right. Okay, let's take this over to our plate. It's cooked perfectly. We've seasoned it nicely now. And all those colors. Make sure we get some of that black garlic. There we are. Lovely butternut squash that's been roasted. Adding all these earthy flavors to this dish. There we go. Perfect. Just for another little hint of sort of flavor and interest factor, we're adding a little bit of a creamy goat's cheese to the top. Not too much. This just adds sort of, I find goat cheese to be just a touch sour, so it adds just a bit of sourness to our really rich risotto here. There we go. And then we'll want to have a quick look at our pork to finish off this dish. I'll set this in the front here. All right, it's been about 7 minutes. Our pork should be perfectly cooked now. Take it out of the oven. Look at that. You can see how nice and crispy. You can see how nice and crispy the prosciutto's gotten. Some of that stuffing's starting to puff out of there, which is just all right. Set that aside. Hey, let go. There we are. Now let's cut into this guy here. Okay. We'll give it just a nice slice right in half here. There we go. Lovely. Set that down like that. Take the next piece, put it right over top. And there we have it. Pork roulade with a butternut squash risotto and packed full of black garlic. Amazing. Now let's see what we can do for a beverage pairing for our creation. With me today is Kate McDonald from Clive's Classic Lounge. How you doing, Kate?
Good, good.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, of course.
So, what have you brought for us?
All right, so now most people with a dish like this, lots of big, rich flavors, they'll automatically go to a wine.
Right.
But, as always, let's do a cocktail.
Yeah, why not? That's what your expertise is, right?
We're going to incorporate a wine element, and this is a Negroni-style drink. So what we've done here is we've subbed out the parts.
So Negroni would typically have red wine then?
Would typically have a sweet vermouth. So it's a red wine where they've added alcohol and a certain amount of herbs or botanicals to flavor it.
So we've gone with something just a little richer with that port, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Campari.
So the richness is going to go really well with the cheese and all those fatty notes. And then, of course, Appleton's rum. And this is great because it has a huge hibiscus note, and that'll pair nicely with the floralness of the Campari and the orange.
The hibiscus, hey?
Yeah.
Love that flower, it's great.
Of course. All right, add ice.
A little ice, of course.
And at home, don't worry about getting your hands in there.
Yeah, exactly, right? We're drinking it anyway, it's just for us.
Completely. At work, I try to stay very clean, but when you're working with your guests, it's seasoning, right?
Yeah, it's me, we know each other, right? No problem.
Yeah, a little salt and pepper. Perfect. There we go, and then we want to strain it into a rocks glass.
Very fancy strainer you're using there.
This is called a julep strainer, yeah, because you would have...
You typically use it for a mint julep, is that right?
Exactly. It would keep it so that your mustache wouldn't get covered in the drink.
I wish I had that problem.
I know, I'll never have that problem.
That's a good thing, don't worry.
Get our orange peel. Pinch it over top of the glass to get some aromatics on there.
Oh, look at that. You can actually see it dropping into the glass.
I like to rub it just on the outside of the glass.
Nice
and
touch.
Put it in.
Perfect. Well, should we have a sip and then see how we go? Grab a fork.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, the orange right off the nose, obviously, right? It's right there.
I've got to try this risotto. I love risotto.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Such gorgeous sweetness in there with that port and the orange.
Goat cheese gets me every time.
Try it with the cocktail. It's really great pairing.
This is great.
I'll try some of this pork with it too. So there's a bit of saltiness in the pork, but the richness again from the fat and the mushrooms. And
there we go. It's amazing how a drink like this can actually make this dish seem lighter because the alcohol cuts through all of that sort of heavy notes.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Kate.
Thanks.
Incredible, perfect pairing. Love to bring the cocktails on board.
Yeah, fantastic.
Now, check out our website where you'll find information on today's show and maybe a few surprises. I'm Garret Schack. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to savor the flavor. Boner, right? That's good. Get some of that black garlic if you haven't tried that yet.
Oh, no.
It's so good.